So let's talk about the NHL's Atlantic Division for the upcoming season. Hey folks, Joe here. Today we're going to do a little bit of a talk about the NHL's Atlantic Division. We're getting close to the regular season. We recently did a talk about the Metro Division. Today it's the Atlantic, and soon we'll get out videos on the two Western Conference teams as well. But for today, let's talk about the Atlantic Division. We're going to talk about where the teams finished in last season's standings, a few thoughts about each team heading into the season coming up, and some predictions on what the final standings will be for this coming regular season. And these predictions will probably be quite controversial, but we're going to go for it anyways, so here we go. Okay, for the season just gone by, 2023-2024 regular season, the final standings for the Atlantic Division. First place was the Florida Panthers with a record of 52 wins, 24 losses, and 6 overtime or regulation losses, 110 points. Right behind them was the Boston Bruins with a 47-20-15 record, 109 points. Followed up by the Maple Leafs in third, 46-26-10 record for 102 points. Coming in at fourth place, also making the playoffs on a wild card, was the Tampa Bay Lightning, 45-29-8 record for 98 points. Following four teams missing the playoffs, falling below the line, the Detroit Red Wings, 41-32-9 record for 91 points. Behind them were the Buffalo Sabres, 39-37-6 for 84 points. The Ottawa Senators, who people expected a lot more of again last year, same as the year before, again came up short, largely due to a very slow start to the season, same as they did the year before. They finished 37 wins, 41 regulation losses, and 4 overtime or shootout losses, 78 points. Rounding out the division was the Montreal Canadiens, who are in the rebuild, 30 wins, 36 regulation losses, and 16 overtime or shootout losses for 76 points. First up, we're going to talk about the Florida Panthers. So for the Florida Panthers, they entered the season with $767,000 cap space, according to Puckpedia. Paul Maurice returns as head coach, fresh off winning the Stanley Cup. I think he's an excellent coach, doing a great job. The goaltending tandem will be Sergei Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight. They should be good and solid in net once again. Bobrovsky himself, he was outstanding, leading them to the Stanley Cup this past spring. Up front, they're led by the likes of Alexander Barkov, Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Reinhart, etc. For Sam Reinhart, he was in a contract year last year, scored a personal best of 57 goals. Do you think he can continue that kind of goal scoring, or will he fall back a little bit? He's fresh off a new contract extension. He's there long term. And, okay, we'll pause there. I definitely see the Florida Panthers as a solid contender to win the division again this coming season, and definitely a contender to repeat as Stanley Cup champions, but only time will tell. Second place team last year was the Boston Bruins. They're entering the season with $8.64 million currently of cap space, although RFA goaltending star Jeremy Swayman still remains unsigned, so that's going to eat up that cap space if they can get him signed. Jim Montgomery returns for his third season as head coach of the Boston Bruins. They're in good shape there, good coach. So yeah, the biggest question mark with the Boston Bruins this season, going into the season, is the Jeremy Swayman situation involving his contract. He's an RFA, restricted free agent. Apparently the two sides are far apart right now on a new contract. We're over a week into training camp. No deal has been done, and it doesn't sound like they're even close. If they go into the season with Jonas Korpisalo as their starting goaltender and whoever else is the backup, Boston Bruins are in serious trouble. Can they get him signed? Time will tell. I did a video on Swayman and his situation a few weeks ago. I may do another one very soon, a little bit of an update talk on that, and we'll take a look at that. The forward core for the Bruins obviously is going to be led by Elias Lindholm. He'll probably be centering Pastrnak and Marchand. Marchand had 3 surgeries in the offseason. He said be healthy, go into training camp, should be good to go, shouldn't be a problem. So still a good forward core. On defense, they're going to be led by Charlie McAvoy, Hampus Lindholm, and newcomer Nikita Zadorov. We're going to miss Jake DeBrusk a lot. DeBrusk signed as a UFA in Vancouver, or that's offset somewhat by the addition of Nikita Zadorov, who left Vancouver as a UFA and signed with the Bruins. Biggest issue for the Bruins, of course, like I already mentioned, is getting Jeremy Swayman signed. If they don't get him signed, they're in trouble. And for the Toronto Maple Leafs, they are sitting $1.07 million above the salary cap, and they got some time to figure that out, do a little bit of work juggling the cap. They'll be ready to go for the season for that. They've got new head coach Craig Berube this year, most recently with St. Louis Blues, where he led them to a Stanley Cup in 2019. Berube is a good coach. I liked him a lot as a player back in the day when he was with the Philadelphia Flyers. I think he should help them play a tougher style of hockey and be much better in the playoffs, assuming they get to the playoffs, which they should. Biggest question mark for me with the Toronto Maple Leafs this year is goaltending. Their projected starter is Joseph Woll, who has a very small sample size of NHL playing time so far, and seems to get injured a little bit. Backing him up will be Anthony Stolarz, who's been a very good backup goaltender throughout the years. Can he step up and be a number one if anything happens to Joseph Woll, if he doesn't play well, or if he gets hurt? Like I said, goaltending, as there always seems to be in Toronto the last bunch of years, goaltending is a big question mark. On defense, the additions of Chris Tanev and Oliver Ekman-Larsson through free agency. Both of these should help the Leafs in their push to get over the hump in the playoffs and get a little further. Good signings. I think they'll be a little better on defense. They also signed UFA Hakanpää. Question mark with him is his knee going to hold up? Is he going to be healthy to play? There's been a lot of talk about him in the offseason. He was originally supposed to have been signed when free agency started, but never actually officially got signed until just recently. Health issues. Going over things with the doctors, seeing if he's going to be actually healthy and able to play. Up front, the Leafs core four is still there once again. They're going back. No changes there. Of course, their hands are a bit tied with the Mitch Marner contract, Jonathan Tavares contract, both full no movement clauses. So you got Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, Jonathan Tavares, all still there for now. Things could get shaken up next year, though. They'll have a little more flexibility. We'll see what happens. Recent signing of Max Pacioretty for left wing is interesting. He's looking good in the preseason. Also, recent signing, RFA Nick Robertson, also a left winger. Robertson wasn't happy last year. Lack of playing time, lack of opportunities. Max Pacioretty being brought into the lineup. He's yet to sign a contract. He's there on a PFO, but it looks like he's going to get signed. So it sort of complicates things going forward for Nick Robertson. We'll see how that all plays out. I still think Robertson will be traded sometime between early in the season and the trade deadline, but that remains to be seen. Toronto Maple Leafs should definitely be a playoff team. Will they get through the first round? Will they get through the second round? That's the big question. If they don't win at least 2 rounds in the playoffs this coming season, I think they're going to shake up that core four for sure. Probably Marner will be gone, and Tavares, unless he signs for half the money, around $5 million, 5.5. He'd be gone as well. So we'll see what happens with the Maple Leafs. As always, the Toronto Maple Leafs are under a lot of media scrutiny and always a lot to talk about there. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning. They currently are entering the season with $730,000 in cap space, so they're up against the cap. Returning as head coach, John Cooper, back for his 13th season. Yeah, 13 seasons as head coach. One of the better coaches in the National Hockey League. They're on solid ground there. Goaltending is led, of course, by Andrei Vasilevskiy. He'll be backed up by Jonas Johansson. As long as Vasilevskiy stays healthy, goaltending won't be a problem in Tampa Bay. Forward core, led by Nikita Kucherov, Braden Point, and trade deadline acquisition Jake Gensel, formerly of the Penguins. That's a good start to the forward core. Looking pretty good there. On defense, anchored by future Hall of Famer Victor Hedman, along with Eric Chernak, and returning veteran Ryan McDonough. McDonough, who of course they picked up in the offseason and deal with the Nashville Predators. He played many years before with Tampa, so he'll be welcomed back, I'm sure, by the fans and the team alike. Good addition. The big thing for Tampa Bay this year is the loss of Steven Stamkos. They let him go in free agency, and he went on to Nashville. He's still an elite hockey player, and I think the Lightning brass and management may end up regretting this, but time will tell. Addition of Gensel, that's going to help offset the loss of Stamkos, but Stamkos was the leader on that team, elite player, like I was saying. So we'll see how that plays out. The Cam Atkinson signing, veteran forward, 35 years old. That gives us some added depth up front. Will he play top 6? Not sure about that. Third line maybe, that's where I expect to see him play. Will the defense be good enough this year? Will Stamkos be a decision they're going to regret? I see Tampa as taking a step back this year and quite possibly missing the playoffs. For Tampa to actually miss the playoffs this year, that's going to be dependent on some other things as well, of course, not just their play, but how much are the Red Wings going to improve? Senators, Buffalo, Montreal, can any of these 4 teams get over the hump and push it back into the playoffs. They've all been out of it for a little while. They're all looking to get back in. Do you see any of these teams bumping Tampa out of the playoffs, or do you think Tampa's going to continue their playoff run and we'll see where they go next year? I have my questions on Tampa. They're an aging team, and we're going to see what happens there. Again, Steven Stamkos, that's a big loss. So let's talk about the Detroit Red Wings. They're hard up against the cap. They're sitting on $198,000 in cap space entering the season, according to Puckpedia, so they're definitely against the cap. Derek Lalonde will return for his third season as head coach. Their goaltending trio is Cam Talbot, Billy Husso, and Alex Line. They also have Jack Campbell signed to $775,000 league minimum contract. He'll be likely playing in the AHL. A little bit of goaltending depth, but will the goaltending be good enough to get the Red Wings back in the playoff hunt? It's a big question mark for me. I don't think the goaltending is going to cut it. Recent RFA signings of Lucas Raymond, Moritz Seider, that helps the team long term for sure. But this year, I see the Red Wings taking a step back. They were looking pretty good last year, but I think they're going to take a step back this year, and goaltending, I think, is going to be a part of it. So for the Buffalo Sabres, they are sitting on $7 million of cap space as we get ready to start the season. We're well into training camp. Lindy Ruff returning as head coach once again. Good coach. Goaltending led by Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, backed up by James Reimer and 22-year-old Devin Levi. They recently named Rasmus Dahlin, their Swedish defenseman, as their new captain. Good guy, Norris Trophy potential for sure at some point. Along with Dahlin, they also have Owen Power and Byron Boehm anchoring the blue line. So a good young defense there. I think that defense is just going to get better and better as time goes on. Center Tage Thompson. A couple years ago, he was looking fantastic. Bit of a letback last year. For the Sabres to do well, they definitely need Tage Thompson to really step it up this year and look more like Tage Thompson of 2 years ago and progress even beyond that. Otherwise, the Sabres could be on the outside looking in again. They've been on the outside for a long time. You know, they want to get back into the playoffs, but I don't see it happening this year. What do you think? So let's talk about the Ottawa Senators. Interesting hockey team. A lot was expected of them the last couple of years. People were expecting them to take to the next level, but they had slow starts each of the last couple seasons, dug themselves into a hole they were not able to dig themselves out of. Some upsides for Ottawa is the new ownership group under Michael Andlauer, who came in last year. They're on solid ground. They got a new lease deal that they're putting together with the National Capital Commission to get a new arena built on the Breton Flats. That's not going to happen anytime soon, but it does look like that's going to happen. I think the future's bright for Ottawa. They're currently sitting on $1.1 million in cap space, so not a lot there, but at least they have a little bit. Travis Green comes in as the new head coach, most recently, who is coach with the Vancouver Canucks. The big addition for Ottawa this year is star goaltender, former Vezina Trophy winner, Linus Ullmark. Goaltending last year was just not good enough. Jonas Korpisalo, that was a mistake. They knew that. That signing was a mistake. He was part of the deal. They shipped him out as part of the package for getting Linus Ullmark back in, who's pending UFA next year, so they're hoping to get him signed later on. Ullmark should be good enough to get them several more wins and at least get them close to the playoff line. Shane Pinto back to his full season this year. He only played 41 games last year, serving a suspension for the first half of the season. Having Pinto right from the start, that's going to help. Ottawa's got a lot of upside, a lot of potential. I think they're going to be a fun team to watch this year. And I think they're going to move up the standings. Definitely moving up the standings. What do you think? What do you think of the Ottawa Senators? And last but not least, the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal enters the season $2.02 million above the salary cap. That said, Carey Price is $10.5 million, final year of his contract. That'll be coming off on LTIR at the start of the season, so they're all right there. They actually have more like $8 million plus in cap space once LTIR for Carey Price comes off, so they're okay there. Martin St. Louis, of course, returning as head coach. Goaltending tandem will be Sam Montembeault and Caden Primo. Now, last night's exhibition game, Jacob Dubé, who I don't really know much about, but he looked fantastic in that game, so he's a good-looking prospect to watch down the road. We'll see how that progresses. Big addition for the Montreal Canadiens this offseason was Patrick Laine. They got Laine and a second-round pick, trading out defenseman Jordan Harris, one of their many young defensemen with a lot of upside. They're very rich in young D, so they didn't really lose anything in this trade. Laine has 2 years remaining at $8.7 million per season. A lot of money, but given that it's only 2 years and the upside that Laine has, and the fact that they only gave up on many good defenseman prospects that they have, and they also got a second-round pick back, I think it was a good move. And Laine, the one preseason game I've seen of Laine so far, he looked very good. I think he's going to be a good addition, get a scoring touch back. The first line, Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky, and these guys are just going to get better and better. They're all young, they're all hungry, they're all good. So it's going to be an exciting line to watch. The second line, I suspect, will be Kirby Dach. There's Patrick Laine, who we were just talking about, along with Josh Anderson on the other wing. And I think this could be a really good line as well, giving Montreal 2 good, solid scoring lines. That's going to make them a much better team right there. Slafkovsky ended last year looking fantastic. I think this is going to be a really big year for him. He was a number 1 draft pick a few years ago. The year that Shane Wright was expected to go number 1, dropped to 4th. I think Montreal did good by picking Slafkovsky. He's looking good. Promising young defense for sure. I think they're just going to get better and better. I think they're still a year or two away from contending for a playoff spot. They're going to get closer to this year. They're going to move up the standings a little bit, win some more games, and play some good hockey. Next up, we'll talk about my predictions for where the teams are going to finish in the division for this coming season, 1 through 8, and a couple little comments on that as well. Okay, so before we talk about my predictions for the standings for the division this coming season, do me a favor, hit the like button and hit the subscribe if you haven't already. It's a brand new channel. I just started it up a few weeks ago. Really want to try and get it built up quickly. So if you do that, like button, subscribe, that helps the YouTube algorithms, helps it grow a lot faster. So I really appreciate that. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Go ahead. I'll wait. Got it? Okay, thanks. You're awesome. So my predictions for the standings going forward for the 2024-2025 season are as follows. For first place this season, I see the Florida Panthers. Maybe not as strong as last year, at least not right now. We'll see what they do at the trade deadline to bolster for the playoff run, but I don't see anybody who's going to finish ahead of them this season in the Atlantic Division. So first place, Florida Panthers. Following them will be the Toronto Maple Leafs, if the goaltending can be good enough. That's if the goaltending is good enough. Toronto Maple Leafs in second. Well back of Florida. I don't think it'll be close to Florida. I don't think anybody will this season in the division. But I see the Leafs, if they get goaltending, second in the division this year. Right behind them, Boston Bruins at third. And again, that's if they get Swayman signed to a contract soon. If Swayman ends up sitting out, which is highly unlikely, they got to get him signed. But if they can't reach a deal and he misses the season, they got till December 1st to get him signed. They got to have him way before that, or they're going to dig themselves into a hole. But if they get a deal done with Swayman soon, Boston Bruins for third place in the division. Right behind them, and maybe challenging for a wild card, we've got the Ottawa Senators. Now, the Sens need a good start to the season this year. That's been their Achilles heel the last 2 seasons. Bad starts, dug themselves into a hole, couldn't make it back out. But if they get a good start to the season this year, I think they're going to be in the hunt for a wild card slot and 4th in the division. Ullmark alone, the addition of Ullmark in goal is going to get them close. So yeah, 4th in the division for the Ottawa Senators. Top 3 if either the Leafs goaltending struggles badly or Bruins do not get Swayman signed. So there's a couple big ifs, but we'll see what happens. Out of the playoffs this year, an aging team just seems to be getting a little older. They're trying to get younger. It's the addition of Gunsel, but the loss of Stamkos, that's going to hurt. I see the Tampa Bay Lightning as being sellers at this year's trade deadline and being on the outside looking in for the next few seasons. That's going to be controversial. A lot of you aren't going to agree with me on that, I'm sure, but that's okay. It's all just a conversation. Feel free to leave some comments down below. Let me know what you think. 6th place in the division, my prediction is that Montreal Canadiens are going to move up. They've got a very bright future. They could finish higher if, say, the Bruins fall and Tampa sells at the deadline. Canadiens could even go into maybe 5th in the division. But that might be pushing it. They're still a year or 2 away. Right behind them, Detroit Red Wings, I have finishing 7th in the division, second last. Goaltending, I think, won't be good enough for the Wings, and they're going to be in the market either later this year, before the deadline, maybe earlier, or in the next offseason for sure, for a starting goaltender, a real number one. That's my thoughts. For Buffalo Sabres, I see them finishing last in the division, taking a step back. I don't think the goaltending is going to be good enough, and I don't think they're going to generate enough offense this year. They got a good young defense, decent goaltending, but I think they may have some problems keeping the puck out of the net. At the same time, they're going to have some problems generating enough offense, so I see them taking a step back. But time will tell. That's just my guesses. It doesn't really mean anything. I could be way, way off, or only time will tell. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you see coming up for the division this year. Who's going to make the playoffs? Who's going to challenge for a wild card? Who's going to be selling at the deadline? And who's going to be finishing down near the bottom? If you're still here, leave a comment in the comments down below. Let me know you're still here. This is my longest video yet. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. I'll have the next division preview coming up very soon. Cheers.